Well, this is the AZ one I've got in for welding. It's a very localised bit of rust that this car has, but it's a very serious bit as well. Hence why I've made the jig. I don't need to weld anything from here back over. It's only bottom of the bulkhead area, so this seemed like the most logical option. I did have to drill the sills to fit this for a safety feature. Could have clamped it, but it would have just made a mess and it's not worth risking it. The frame itself was easy enough to make. It was only about 30 quid's worth of steel and a day's work. And then I can work at head height with proper lighting and everything. I couldn't have put it on a jig, a spit, because it fell apart. The subframes were the only thing holding it together. One of the suspension mountings was actually bodged in, but I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, the frame can be, it can wheel around wherever I want it for when I'm working on it, and yeah, it's all triangulated and safe enough. Didn't even make a noise when I dropped it down onto it. This is the rust. As you can see, it's pretty serious. I did say I wasn't going to take on any more welding jobs, but I was asked very nicely to do this one, and it's not the sort of thing you just take to your average welder. It's completely structural, and it needs to be perfect if it's ever going to be a usable car again, let alone a very nice one. It's come over from Japan like this. Well, it was covered in a bit more bodge. I've pulled a lot of it off. It wasn't even mentioned on the auction sheet, which is very unusual. It was bought as an unrusty car. It was covered in, I think, urethane, then foil tape, and then painted black to hide it all, including one of the suspension mountings, which was actually just glued in. That crack there is not rust, that's a fatigue crack, because that's all that was holding that wheel on. As you can see, it's pretty serious. I've made these posts here to allow me to weld some bits of bar on to make a frame, because I'm going to have to remove all of the suspension mount practically and rebuild and replace it all. Before I can make the jig though, I need to make sure this one's in the right place, because obviously with it being so rusted, it had moved, and using this daft little laser tool and some rulers and things, I've been able to get it lined up and within about a millimetre and less than a degree of exactly where it should be. Which isn't easy when there isn't actually a frame chart available for this, but it's not impossible. I used subframe mountings and other things to get datums, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with that being in exactly the right place now. Close enough that it wouldn't matter for any suspension geometry anyway. So now I can make the jig. Well, after a few off-camera trips to the chop saw, I've got the bits I need to make the jig. I bolted on the plates I made earlier, little lugs. Clamp back for now, it'll be the first thing to weld, and then it'll fit in there on each side, and then a piece of 5mm flat between that and that. I may triangulate it, but I don't think there's any point. Actually, I might do, but you get the idea. And that will give me a solid mounting location for that. Yeah, no, I'm going to triangulate it, definitely. But yeah. Next step, welding. Putting this new Artec mask. Just on cable ties to hold these on for now while I weld it. Less pressure the better. Doesn't want to distort anything to keep the same shape. Things might move with wall contraction, so not enough to matter. Basically it done. You can see I've got the brace across the middle to give me the distance between the two, this to that way, and the flat bar to give me the height, and I'll add some diagonals in just to keep its shape while it's off the car. Should be fine, it's tough stuff, but that's safe and sorry. That's basically the jig done. And then I can start putting the suspension mountings away. Well, that's the bolts out. Yeah, bolts on that. And there's my jig. And there's everything. Now I can start grinding and cutting.